Upgrade your shit.
Hey, what's up everyone? Coach RT3 from the Upgrade Guys, and today we're going to talk about frog pose from yoga. Now, frog pose can be a really intense pose. For those of you who don't know the pose, it is here, and we have our legs out in this position, and we are on our forearms usually, right? It can be really intense for the adductors here who don't get an opportunity to stretch out much. So what we're going to do today is we're going to regress that to a half frog pose so you can be a little bit more comfortable, and we can start working those tissues there in a little bit less of an intense environment, and then you can kind of start to progress from there. So we'll do one side at a time. So what I wanted to say is that when you think of frog pose in yoga, a lot of times people do yoga and they don't have a whole lot of intention behind like what they're doing other than the breathing aspects and the more mental aspects of it. Some people go to it for physical aspects of it. Whatever your reasoning for doing yoga is, I want to make sure that you're doing it in a way that's best for you and that you understand your body a little bit more. I also want to be able to tie and bridge the gap between your strength training or anything that you might do in the strength training world and your yoga world. Now, yoga is very passive. A lot of the movements are passive holds, passive stretching, and there's nothing wrong with that because we need passive range of motion in order to have the potential to create activity. If you don't have the range in the first place, then it's hard to even create new range. So if you have tons of range, we want to find out how much of that range can we control. So one of the ways in which we can start to strengthen those positions as opposed to just passively sitting there is we can start to create isometric contractions or voluntary contractions. You'll hear me say MVC, which is maximum voluntary contraction. We're not going to go to our highest level of MVC. We're going to go to a very low level today. So we're going to go into a half frog, which now gives us a little bit of an easier time in this position, right? So now we have a little bit less of an intense stretch on the adductors, and we can just kind of sit there. And it's important that we breathe through it and we give our tissues time to adjust, and we give our nervous system an opportunity to be comfortable here. Once we spent about a couple minutes there, we're going to slowly begin to activate our progressive tissues. Now, our progressive tissues are our lengthened tissues. The lengthened tissues are, of course, these muscles inside here, the adductors, which are attached at your hips. So we're going to slowly begin to drive those down drive this knee down into the floor. We're trying to scoop it towards us. So we're trying to shorten those adductors, and we're going to just ramp that up to, let's say, 30% effort. You're starting at 0 and you're just kind of working your way up the dial 1 degree at a time until we get to about 30%, and we're just going to hold it there. We'll just hold that contraction at the same intensity the whole time. This is how we'll just start out here. Just getting your body used to even doing anything in that position at all. Now, once we've done a 15 to 20 second hold of that voluntary contraction on the progressive side, we've got to work the regressive side, and that's those tissues here on the outside. So we're going to go straight into that. That's not going to be a slow ramp. We're just going to go straight into pulling away. So we're making the shin feel light on the floor. So that first movement, our progressive tissues, we were driving the knee down and scooping inward at the same time. So we're trying to close this door. We're imagining if this floor wasn't here, and we were making this leg heavy on the scale. And then the other way, we're making the leg light on the scale and pulling it off the floor. Now, we're at our end range, so there's no way we're going to pull it off the floor. One of the things that we want to make sure of is that we're not torquing through the spine and torso, and that we're just sniffing some area in and making sure that that area of our body stays nice and tight, and we drive that other foot down so there's no rotation going on in that back leg as well. Okay? So give those a try for a few reps. Hopefully that helps you out. If you're interested in more, be sure to check out theupgradeguys.com, where we have 15-minute mobility snack, which kind of builds on this and builds that out a little bit more and gives you something that you can kind of practice and start to to understand a little bit more and start to train. And then we have some Kinstretch classes, which also set up in this position and give you a more robust training protocol in order to make sure that your hips function the way that they should and keep you safe and strong and healthy for longevity, so that you can practice whatever it is you want to do, whether it be yoga, basketball, squatting, lifting weights, whatever it is that you want to do. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please click subscribe if you haven't subscribed to our channel, and make sure that you like this video and share it with your friends.
Upgrade your shit.